Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Um, for many years, we've been blessed at Temple Emanuel to have our fantastic and wonderful Eugenia Gerstein. Eugenia Gerstein is the choir director of so many groups, including the adult choir, called Emanuel, and so many other choral and musical groups. We've been blessed to have her. But perhaps not many of you know about Eugenia and her journey from the early time in his life in Russia, coming to America. So it's a real pleasure to have Eugenia, and we are going to talk about her life and then about her accomplishments. Eugenia, how are you today?
Oh, I'm wonderful, and thank you for such introduction. Thank you for having me.
Wonderful, wonderful. I love working with you and I enjoy it, and I want everybody to know you better. So, Eugenia, our understanding is that you were born and raised in Russia. And I'd like to start by asking you, if you can share with us your experience growing up there, to talk about a little bit about your family, and then, your musical training as a kid. So, can you start with that?
Sure. I was born in Moscow, and I studied in Moscow. And it was, a regular Jewish family, what we say intelligentsia, intelligent people. My father was an engineer, and uh, and he played the violin well, and he wanted me to play with him. So I was put to play piano. And at that time, the Jewish kids, it wasn't like uh, necessary to teach the kid to play music. And I went to the music in a regular way. I went to the music school where kids start learning, going to first grade, regular school. And it's like after school, you go to the music school. And it goes for 8 years. So it's a
So
mini,
you were 6 years old when you started in musical training?
yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And you go to through school, and the way how it was set up, you start, you cannot leave. It's not like you take a couple classes, you leave. If you leave for good. So you go through these 8 years of training. I mean, it's a choir, instrument, music theory, history. It's many subjects. It's a very solid education for children, and like probably 6 hours total a week, different subjects. And the kids who want to continue and feel that that's their thing to do in life, they go to what's called college. But here in America, it would be like a secondary step education. So from grade 8, if you'd like, you go to college, the music college. And I
Hmm.
went to music college. So there's always competition to get to the music school, and the best going up and go to college.
And yours always were, your passion and your instrument was always piano, correct?
That's true. But when I went to college, I went to be the choral director. That's
Mm,
choral director, and it comes together with ear training. They would
right.
area. So there is the next step is 4 years of college where you specifically learning subjects that you chose. The choir all about sight reading, core, scores, and all this, plus playing the instrument and learning theory. So that goes 4 years, and after that, the ones who is better and wants to do it and a better goes to conservatory. And that is the next step that I went to conservatory, where it's 5 years in the choral conducting and the music education. It's a combination. And I finished it with what's called the red diploma magna so that. And
I'm
so
sure
I
you
was,
were one of the best in the class, right?
yeah, you have to be best in the class because it's a competition. But I was very lucky with one teacher who really was innovative in teaching music, and I was lucky to study with him and to work with him, and that led me to teach music the way how I teach. So that's how we
Wonderful. So Eugenia, fabulous, fabulous. All this. What was your when you were growing up in Russia? What was your experience in terms of Jewish learning, Jewish experience, going to synagogue? Were you allowed to do that?
Growing in Russia that time, you knew that you are Jewish, you're different, because as you probably know, in a passport, that is like a driver license, the ID that you have to have with you, it's written who you are. It's
Oh
written,
wow.
yeah, it's written that you are Jewish. It's a famous fifth line in the passport. So that's everyone who takes your passport for any reason, you go to the library to sign up for the membership, the person sees who you are. The time when we did not have enough food, and it was like a stamps, the food stamps, the time, you go to the store and you show your passport, and the person who is serving you reads who you are. So that is, talking about anti-Semitism and all this, that creates, for people to treat you differently because they know who you are. And it comes with going to study. You have to know where you will be taken at that time, and you will not be taken. Okay, so that is always to manage to be on a line that you have to be very well trained and be 50% better than anybody else, that you will be standing out, and still you have to know where you go. And at time when you grow up in such environment, you think it's normal, because how you don't know the other way. You know that they will take only at this conservatory, out of 10 people, they will take 2 Jews. Okay. And you accept, and you look if you will get there, or it's better for you to go to the other conservatory where there's no such a limit.
Right. Right. So Eugenia, going back to the question, I mean, were there synagogues in Moscow at the time? Synagogues were allowed to be open in those days?
There was, and still it's a big synagogue, one in Moscow, in the center of city, a big, it's Orthodox, that's the woman up there,
Right.
guys, they're down, and it was very limited for people to come, and also by the government setting, you cannot be religious if you study to be the teacher. For example, if you go to the college and you're supposed to be the music educator, you cannot claim that you are religious, because it's prohibited for any religion. So, but on Simchat Torah, we all would go to a synagogue, because that was counted like it's students, it's young, and we all go there, and and it's so many people that you will not be like watched, you will be signaled out. And that's how
So in a way, it was very hard for you to
yeah, that was like the matzah you will get only from that synagogue, so they would distribute together. So that's how it.
Did you ever have your own bat mitzvah?
My bat mitzvah was in America when I was at Camp Pembroke music director. It was
wow!
13 year, and I was honored. That was my bat mitzvah.
Wow, fabulous. I didn't know that. You see, even I'm learning stuff about you today. So let's move on in your life. So you came to America. And why don't you share with everybody what was the reason for you to come to America? How did that happen? And I'm sure you faced many challenges, including language and work, and you came married with your son. Am I right? So why don't you tell us about the genesis of you coming to America?
So I have one son, only child, who is now a grown man. And luckily, I taught him music. And because what I said about my teacher, who was specializing to teach young children, how to develop their minds to be the musicians. So I kind of implemented this method on my son. And because he was little and he only, way to get for him really to be with me, he thought it's doing music with me. He did music with me. So he started very, very young, not even talking. So he was good, and he started to study when he was 5. When he was on a 4.5, he started at a special music school. It's for gifted children. There are at that time were 5 schools attached to conservatories that they would big competition to get in. The parents train their children to get in. It's all basically musicians' parents, and so he got in, and he did well. And it's very competitive. It's to raise professionals from very early age. And he loved music theory, and I did a lot with him in ear training, and he loved jazz, and he picked up on jazz, and he played what he heard. And because he was trained well, and he could express what he felt and heard harmonies. And technically, he was trained as a classical pianist, a kid. So he could play and really like a grown up when he was very little. And it happened that he played jazz. And when he was 11, we went to Poland, and he won the Bach competition. And while he was there playing between jazz, like as a relaxing, somebody heard from faculties of that music school in Poland, heard him and invited him to the concert. And at that time, you go from Russia, you don't have any money. You just go there and with nothing, okay, to competition. And and I said to him, we don't have money to go to the concert. And Kirill said, oh, somebody invited us and gave us tickets. So we came, and this musician, because he heard how Kirill played jazz, he said, why you not, you will be the opener for this big jazz musician who was a saxophone player. So he played, and after that, these musicians came to him and say, listen, you should come to our workshop, jazz workshops. We will sponsor it. To us, it was, like going out of Russia, somebody sponsoring this kid who was 11. So we went. And it happened that they were 4 professors from Berklee College of Music from Boston.
Oh, wow.
That's a story. And they heard Kirill, they felt that he's something very special. And that led us how we came with him to Boston, because he got full scholarship to study at Berklee as a full-time student, and he was 14. So that was
Wow.
no choice. I just go with him.
So how much did you know about Boston when you came?
Now, when I'm looking back, I knew zero. I did not know nothing about culture. I'm thinking only when, and you immigrated, you know what is it. I respect everyone who moved from any country to the new place, because you don't know what to expect. And now with experience living here, I'm thinking how naive I was, how I did not know anything about.
Did you know English at the time?
No, I only learned how to explain who is Kirill. I learned his biography, and that's how we started here.
Wow. And your husband came with you and your son?
No, my husband, it's only one person was allowed, one parent was allowed to go with Kirill to America. So he had to stay behind, and it took him 3.5 years before he can.
Oh, wow. Was this at the time of the perestroika?
It was after 1991, when the Soviet Union collapsed.
Right.
It was easier to move, but still you have to go through the process, all this paperwork, and get the passport for that. So he had to wait 3.5 years. And that's how we came to Boston.
Fabulous, fabulous story.